out the. Do you know what? I'm just going to strip the audio out of the live feed.
Oh, before we start, we better start recording audio.
all right.
I'm now recording audio.
I'm now about to hit record on mine.
Do we need syncy sync?
Doesn't matter, we're already live.
Yeah, but you might need to syncy sync.
Oh, that's fine. I'll figure it out. There we go. Microphone in, audio there, over there. That's not right for a start. Why is that set to that? This is going to be a terrible podcast edit. Because apparently none of my software on this machine is set up correctly. This is beautiful. Hang on. Oh no. That one. Fuck, I can't remember what I'm set to. Oh, screw it. That'll do.
It'll be fine.
That won't be, but that'll do. I'll just remember to sort it out for the next one.
We need to sort out some proper rat nerd starting soon graphics.
Yeah, for sure. There we go.
That's right. We are Zaber very, very nicely. He might do something for us.
Yeah, don't bet on it. Poor bloke's busy.
Well, yeah, not at the moment. It's not. We've made it to episode 167 without any.
We don't need any graphics. Graphics are for rich people.
I think we can last a few more episodes before we can worry about that.
Yeah, probably a good, couple more years.
Yeah.
When we can employ staff, then we'll worry about it.
Employ staff.
It's not going to happen, is it?
You never know. One day. Once I actually get around to pay, once I want to go to actually paying for the Google ads to sort of like promote the podcast.
Yeah, no. Have we gone through to what's it called?
Now look, well the female. I'll just check the audio. Yep, on that.
Yay.
The female. Yes, on that.
Fantastic. Well chuffed, mate.
Oh, good. Can anybody on Pacific Ram?
Skazz, yes.
Welcome to episode 167 of the Van Nerds podcast.
From a different angle. For the video, for the video listeners, the audio viewers ain't gonna benefit from this.
I say, well, they know that you might be slightly louder in one ear than the other if you're a slightly different angle.
Well, yeah, but then that's their fault. You've got two ears. Send it yourself to the speakers. Get it right.
Yeah. Do you stereo mix or do you mono mix the output?
Oh, I mono them. I squish down to mono. Just to save space on the online storage, to be fair. I'd love to do stereo.
You mean on unlimited online storage?
Yeah, that's only for the website, but not on the storage that I send them to you on. Because I actually still have them archived for like the last 100 episodes.
Bloody hell! I've got all the episodes, so
yeah. So that is literally the only reason I started giving them out in MP3 as well. Because I used to give you the uncompressed wave, didn't I?
Did you? I don't remember that.
Once upon a time, yeah.
Oh.
We should have had at least a few waves because there's a load of wave files on the drive.
I'm gonna check the folder where I store more
because they were definitely going up there in wave.
Oh, let's have a look at my folder where I stored them all, which is where I've always saved them to. If you have got MP3.
Oh, there you go. I guess I can delete the waves then.
Yeah, I've got no wave at all. They're all MP3s.
Oh, sadness. Just to throw a spanner in the works, I should have just gone, hey, let's put them all in OGG.
Yes. Let's make it very hard for people to play them.
Well, I don't know how that would be hard to play. It plays on everything.
Wow.
Mate, you're not talking about Windows 98.
I will be honest. Last time I had to play an OGG file, I had to download codecs. So that was a very.
I was going to say you're talking
ago.
like Windows 98, Windows XP.
That'd be early 2000s. I last to try and play an OGG file. So admittedly, I'm my old man hat is coming out. It's like, oh, you can't play that. No, Gramps. OGG plays on everything these days. Gramps.
Yeah, well, it does though, because you can buy an MP3 player or a portable media device for like what 15-20 quid on Amazon, and that'll play OGG.
Look, I say, Skazz, I've just got to that stage in my life now where basically technology is starting to outpace me and leave me behind.
Yeah, because we're old hat, mate.
Exactly, I'm old now, so it's just that's the only explanation as to why.
We we don't get ray traced. We're too
Mate,
old for ray tracing, mate.
yeah, I'm old enough to be 32-bit, but I'm not old enough to I'm not high def from that point on.
Well, our eyesight definitely ain't. I'll say that.
Oh, my eyesight's 480 interlaced.
Oh, mate, I can think yourself lucky. I don't even think I'm there. I don't even think I'm there. Because, like, seriously, I'm sat. I've got like a 58-inch TV in front of me, 4K, all the bells and whistles. And as soon as I go, so I'm now lifting my glasses away from my eyes. Oh, it's blurry as fuck. I'm like 6 feet away from it. I can't see it.
I was saying, if I lift my glasses up, I can't make out the icons on my taskbar. If I lift them up, there's like, well, there's a sort of orangey blur. I'm guessing that's Firefox. There's a purpley square. I'm guessing that's Premiere. There's a blacky blur with a white thing, and that's Steam.
Oh, mate.
Yeah,
That screwed me over because there's two of those on my side. It's like, wait, which one's OBS?
I ain't actually got OBS on my taskbar.
Oh, don't you?
No, I've got Firefox, Steam, Premiere, Chrome, Opera of all things.
Why?
Epic Law. I actually use Opera.
For what?
Opera. I use that as my browser. I have a browser. This is going to sound really sad. I have a browser for work. So I have a browser that I just use to.
Oh, yeah, sure, I get it. No, I do that. I have two different browsers installed just for that same thing.
Yeah, so it's not to get you can't get tempted by getting distracted by a tab that's not relevant. So Opera is my work browser.
The
so
shit
if I open it all up, there's just lots of tabs all about Unreal Engine, and
bless.
Hence why the next icon along is the Epic's launcher to launch Unreal Engine.
Epic isn't on my bar.
Oh, I use that to launch Unreal Engine, so it's just easier to have it there.
I hate that store so much.
So. I can't. Having now used it a little bit, so I've not bought anything for it, but I've heard through the free games for it, and it's just another launcher really. That's it on my bar. That's all I've got.
There you go. You've got a much more exciting bar than I have.
What's your bar then? Come on.
Oh. Well, okay then. If you're really that into it, file manager. The Windows Store.
That doesn't count.
Windows Store.
Windows Store.
Well, see, I'd normally move a lot of that stuff off. Okay, so when I first went to Windows 10, I pulled all this stuff off. So, File Manager, Windows 10 Store. And the only reason I put on the Windows 10 Store is because... the only reason I started to sign into Windows 10 is because I started using my Xbox again for Sea of Thieves. I thought, well, if I buy it on Xbox, I've got it on the Windows 10 store. I have a Windows 10 laptop. Fuck it, sign in. It's cross-play, play on both. Chrome, GIMP, OBS, XSplit, Steam.
XSplit?
Yes.
Do you still use XSplit? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have it for some stuff. Kind of like how you have a different browser, I have a different streaming program.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, Steam, Origin, Uplay.
Ugh!
Yeah,
Origin.
They never get used. Never get used. They're just there in a line because they're launchers for games. If you were on my PC, you wouldn't see either of those on my bar at all. Because this laptop I use it once in a blue moon now. What's that? Bias Effects 2, which is a guitar amplifier simulator. Spotify. Why this is on there, I don't know. Microsoft Edge. Because that did that. You know when that does the Microsoft is now updated. Here is Edge, and it's like slapped it on the bar. I was like, there you go, just leave it on there.
Do you mean Microsoft Chrome?
Yeah, that's the one. That is the one. It's just Chrome with a fucking Microsoft coat of paint. Yeah. And then
we couldn't make our browser work, so we just
we took someone else's.
Just rebranded it.
Discord, and then that's all there is on my kind of quick launchy stuff. Though I don't actually remember Discord being on that bar. to be honest.
Is that on the bar because it's open at the moment?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I've got Discord on my bar open, but it's not actually on my
Yeah.
taskbar. Discord just loads automatically for me. I have it on auto load.
Oh, I don't, because I don't want people messaging me. I'm an antisocial prick. I was live doing my live stream up until probably about 5 minutes ago. I was like, well, I guess I better go. Time to launch up fucking Discord to see if Ram's messaged me. Ram has. I actually checked my phone first. I was like, oh, my phone's not going to give me any notifications because it's plugged in and it's in like bedtime do not disturb mode after like, I don't know, 9 o'clock. So I was like, oh, that's not going to tell me to stop my stream anyway. Better turn off the stream.
Yeah, I just set myself to invisible on Discord.
All right.
That's my solution. So I can see if someone messages me, I can see them, but they can't see me.
Oh, there you go. I haven't got enough mates on Discord, and I don't spend a lot of time in other people's chat rooms, so
yeah,
I'd rather sit in the RC for that.
Yeah, I haven't got that many people on Discord, but it's like, you know, when you're like, I'm doing something, I just don't want to get involved in a long conversation with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'll just put myself to invisible, and if I see a message me, I can leave it 20 minutes and message back and pretend that I'm just checking randomly occasionally.
But now people know that you're just an antisocial dick.
They do, but I do some. But sometimes that is true. So the question is, basically, you're now Schrodinger's response. Am I not responding immediately because I'm literally not there, or am I ignoring you and not responding to you immediately because I'm just ignoring you? You see, you don't know.
Yeah, but that's generally the way the entire time for everything in life. But I will answer this question for people. We are just ignoring you. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Because you're a dick. I don't know who you are, but you're a dick, so.
Yeah. This is what most got me out of so much trouble. But it's the same on MSN Messenger. It's like I just put myself to show off online. Oh, I miss a Messenger.
Those are the days. Do you remember the time when you and Zaba tried to get that installed?
Well, it was only about 6 months ago, so yeah, we managed to find an old install of it. We wondered if it would still work. Turns out it doesn't work.
Sadness.
So, sad. We got as far as getting it installed. We got as far as launching it, but it wouldn't sign in.
How
or
could
tried
Microsoft?
to, but it would not sign in. But yeah, we got as far as getting it launched and running. Yeah,
sadness.
that is my sort of all my college days. That was Emerson Messenger.
Yep.
You spend all day at college with your mates and immediately come home and go on MSN Messenger. And then from MSN Messenger, we progress to Skype.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us Skype, and some of us moved over to Discord.
We
had a brief foray into TeamSpeak, but not for very long. We didn't like the quality of it. It did drop the quality. We found the audio quality was pretty shit, which is to make it lightweight over the internet of the day. We also very briefly, for I think like a week, used Ventrilo.
Yeah, Vent.
Yeah. Then we went back to Skype, and then so there's that, and that is Ram's history through instant messaging programs / VoIP programs.
I won't tell you my history because we'll be here all day.
Yeah, it probably goes back to some sort of like 1960s digital dial-up text-based system.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I had to enter all my stuff in ASCII code. It could actually accept normal code.
That's how it worked. That was pretty much it.
Oh, Skazz, what have you been up to?
So, for the last couple of weeks, we've been bitching about MechWarrior. And we established that was it MechWarrior 5. I thought it had already come out on console because I'd already seen it on the Xbox store. But it hadn't. It was just like a placeholder. And when we were last playing it, I said I would give it a go on console when it launched, which was like end of last month, and we'll see how it plays on control pad. So, just so folks know, I was playing on a Generation 1 original Xbox One. So not the Series S that was slightly more powerful, not the Xbox One S. Microsoft, please sort out your naming conventions. It's confusing as fuck.
I mean, to be fair, when you say Xbox One, you could be referring to the original Xbox.
Yeah, big green. No. I loved that console. That was actually pretty good. I didn't like it to start with, but it grew on me. It was good. Fantastic for fighting games and shooters. And trolling. Very good for trolling. And murdering people. Just don't tell anyone that, though. Okay? So, playing on the... not the 1S or the 1X. I'm playing on the original Xbox One. So that's the lowest power of all the Xboxes of last generation that MechWarrior is on. Plays all right on pad. To be completely honest with you, it played better on pad than it did my experience on PC. Throttle control.
So have they fixed all the issues that you had with the pad on the PC?
What, the fact that I could actually fucking walk around the hangar? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I could control the menus? Yeah. But they haven't changed. The interface itself hasn't changed for fucking shit, mate. It really hasn't. You know the really crappy, like, baby's first interface with the rectangle, like, new game, continue, and like it looks really janky, like the interns got hold of the UI. That's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. I haven't changed any of that. Option menus still just as ugly. All of it's just ugly, except when you go to control pad now, it comes up with a picture of an Xbox pad rather than set of drop-down menus. That's the only difference.
Does it still tell you to configure RNI files?
No. No, it does not. The PC version does, though.
Yeah, no, that's what I was asking.
Because it's been updated. The PC version also now runs on pad.
So we wonder if they're going to fix it when they updated the consoles.
So I checked it when my PC started to fail. So that was one of the last things I did before my PC full-blown failed. Was to see if the pad worked. It works. It works fine. So, how does it play on consoles? Control-wise, it's a little awkward. There isn't a lot going on in MechWarrior, though, if I had to be honest, control-wise. Despite what people will lead you to believe, it's you're more than comfortable playing it on a pad. You do not need fine throttle control in MechWarrior at all. Although I'm sure it's not as fine as some people would like. You maybe have like 5 levels of sensitivity. But 9 times out of 10, people are either going half throttle or full throttle. You know, they've not trained. If they're playing on HOTAS, they've not managed to train themselves to go, I'm now at 15%. I'm now at 25%. Oh, mate, I've got to go full speed. I'm going to bring it back down to 63 1/3. You know, like, no one's that skilled at nailing their throttle placements. So you don't need super fine control on a pad. Camera controls are fine. Extra menus like controlling or sending orders to your other mech, like if you've got other people on your team, that's done with their D-pad. So you hit a D-pad to bring up a context menu. So like D-pad left will be talk to other mechs. You can go to advanced features like override temperature and all that. That's just 2 clicks left, click right, click left, click up, click down. That kind of stuff. So double tap in one direction, double tap in another direction. It'll change all that kind of stuff. Lock-ins with clicks with the right stick. Weapon groupings are on trigger. Well, it's the same as what I said last time with the PC version, other than the fact that the hanger movement is done on pad now as well. Same buttons, realistically. Your triggers and your bumpers handle your weapons. Your face buttons realign your legs. Literally, if you can play a twin-stick shooter on console, you could easily play MechWarrior. It's a very, very easy game to play on pad, and it works really quite well. However, the console version has problems other than control or input method. The frame rates on the original Xbox, on the OG Xbox One, is absolutely fucking shit.
Really?
It's terrible. When you
'Cause,
load
I
up...
mean, MechWarrior, although it's a pretty game, it's not that super fantastic graphically game. It's not pushing the hardware game.
Well,
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be choppy.
it isn't if you're on a PC that's more than 5 years old. Like if it's 5 years old or newer, you should be fine, right? But the trouble is, the original Xbox is running slower than a PC I built a decade ago, over a decade ago, by a long fucking way. So they've had to do some jiggery pokery to get it to work. But frame rate wise, in the menu, so when you sit on the when you go into the hangar, you can go up to a display and it will come up with like the little tickers, the little text ticker that comes up at the bottom. Like there's like a little green display and it'll have text scrolling across the screen. On PC, that's smooth, isn't it?
Yes.
On the console, that's probably about 10 frames a second.
Oof.
Ish. When you fly from one location to another as you come into dock, as you see the planet coming in close to the big window, I guess, porthole, whatever you want to call it on a spaceship, the planets will literally load in at like 5 FPS. It's not smooth at all. It's jerky as all hell. When you speak to characters in the hangar, they look like PlayStation 2 characters or N64 characters. Like, they don't have a face. All of the detail is just completely gone.
They still got the terrible voice acting.
Yes. The intro has changed, though. The intro has changed. You know how the lead character's father gets killed after your training mission?
Yes.
It doesn't happen on the training mission. So you do your training mission, and you complete the training mission with no trouble. Then you and your father go out on another mission on another planet, I guess, and you're in a city and you get attacked rather than being out in the wilderness like on where we played it. So they've changed that up a bit. Even that entire fight sequence has been changed a bit.
It's had some changes. It's had some updates to it.
Yes, yeah, which is nice. But when you're in combat,
does it make your father's death a little bit more impactful?
Yes, kind of, actually, oddly enough, because you
Got
actually
to know him.
Well, not really. I mean, they just kind of like have a bit more banter between father and son on the mission. The son wants to go back and save him. It's not like literally just the son is such a fucking so green that he can't do anything and he just runs away. They get cut off from each other. The enemy team stomps in on when you're in a city. They nuke a skyscraper and it falls between the two of you. And they've purposely separated you from your father and then take one of your arms off so you can't fight anyway. And he basically tells you, look, just fucking leg it. I'll do my best to sort these fuckers out. Also, do you remember the enemy team stomp? They're talking over the mic, over the radio.
Yeah.
They don't do that in the new intro. The lady in the ship mentions how she's overheard chatter on the radio about they're killing people off, trying to find coordinates for something. They don't outright say that to you and the father character. So you're not actually
that cryptic conversation that you have at the
yeah, like that's not there. And also, like when one of the enemy suits stomps on the head of one of their own teammates, like they crush the cockpit, that's not there either. But yeah, I mean, all in, it's right. Don't get me wrong. It was probably a 2 on the giving a shit scale, like 2 out of 5. In the original time we played MechWarrior 5, I'd say it's probably now a 3, maybe a 3.5.
Yeah. I mean,
it looked much better. It looked much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seemed more fitting that because originally they attacked when we were at our home base. That's ballsy. This one, they attacked us. They ambushed us. They outright just came out and fucked us up on a mission, which I felt was a bit more kind of fitting. But then as soon as you get on the ship and fly away, it goes straight back to how it was on the original version that we played.
Yeah.
So the lady will go, oh, mate, it's been a couple of days since your dad died. Sorry, we haven't been able to talk, but, I'd like to work with... It's all exactly the same.
Yeah, your dad died 2 days ago, but anyway, let's get on with
let's get on with shit.
Yeah. Do you want to go chat about having your mech upgrades and repainting it?
Yeah.
It's like, anyway, here's a nice guy, your dad. Anyway, have I still got a job? I have. Excellent. Let's carry on.
Let's do this.
That is in our first conversations. Do I still have a job?
No, get out. You said you wanted to leave my dad behind. You're a dick. We're gone. But yeah, so it all goes back to normal. Navigating menus and stuff through the hangar and upgrading your mech and all that is really simple and really control pad kind of friendly. It's not the cleanest UI as you know, but it works. In the hangar, as I say, everything looks like shite. And a friend of mine has an Xbox Series S, which is the lower end but newer console. And he played the game, and it looks pretty solid. It looks a lot nicer on that hardware. So that's closer to kind of, a PC from a few years ago.
Yeah.
But the frame rate still dips every now and then, but it's still a lot better than the original Xbox One. And I have tried it on an Xbox Series X, which is the top of the line Xbox. And that plays more in line to how the PC version does, but still not quite as smooth. So still not quite a solid 60, but still much, much better. I should actually also say, though, once you get into combat, the hangar seems to be an absolute hog for performance. And I don't know why, because it doesn't look all that good, and there isn't a lot going on. But once you hit those big open maps with, fog effects and snow and explosions going everywhere, frame rate's pretty standard. It's pretty solid. Yeah. Like it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Even on the original Xbox, I had no problems rocking around in my giant, slow as fuck robot suit, blowing things up. On the Series X, same, just more, foliage is denser, effects are more plentiful, mech textures are higher quality, that kind of stuff. But all in, it's very, very, very playable. I will say, though, if you are going to play it on console, probably skip out on the original Xbox, just because load times are pretty...
Yeah.
They're not great. I mean, it's loading off spinning rust for a start, and it is a pretty old console. 7, 10 plus years, whatever. The Series S and Series X do a much, much, much better job, albeit not perfect, but it's still completely playable. And considering the Xbox Series S is only £250 to get a serviceable MechWarrior, like let's say you really want to play MechWarrior on your TV or whatever, you just want to lounge on your couch and get your giant robot on. An Xbox Series S will be fantastic for you. A nice cheap entry into playing some Elite Dangerous and MechWarrior and an almost PC experience, but in your living room kind of thing. But yeah, it plays fine. It plays fine because you were curious about how it would play, how limiting the control would be.
Yes,
it's fine. It's absolutely. I mean, honestly, mate, it's probably actually more comfortable to play on the control pad than it was on the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine playing a MechWarrior game on mouse and keyboard. That just sounds like an absolute pain in the ass. But
oh, and that first time you went up against the spider in the Centurion,
yeah,
I curb stomped it.
Yeah, so I didn't change. I think my settings were wrong on that. Well, because we discussed that, I think my settings were not sensitive enough.
Most likely.
I think that's what the issue was. I mean, after that sort of disappointing experience, and after trying to get it working, having issues with it, I've not built up the momentum to go back.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the whole sort of thing's been tarnished. and I've not built the end. I probably will go back. It's just all been tarnished to me. It's like such a bad experience at first.
Yeah.
Although I am going to be interested if they fix the controller. I wonder if whatever input was causing issues with it, because you had the same issue I had, where you kept walking in weird ways.
Well, no, initially I didn't walk
surface.
at all, and then when I changed my configs, I couldn't stop walking.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if maybe whatever they've done to fix the controller might have, by side effect, might have also fixed the issue of the joystick.
Most likely.
Hopefully so. So I'll be interested to see. But I might go back and play it just to see if that's fixed it and made that work.
I would probably say that you may still have to use the kind of 2 control input method that I was having to use when I first played on PC. In that you would use mouse and keyboard to move around the HUD world.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't mind that.
And then hop onto your sticks for when you get into the game.
Honestly, Skazz, I'd be happy with that layout because that would feel like, okay, I'm walking around. Now I'm taking control of my big bet.
It's more immersive in that way. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it's a weird little thing, but actually, I would like that. I prefer it to work like that.
I figured you would because, I mean, honestly, that way, I don't have much of a problem with it. If I had a proper HOTAS, but when I was playing on, obviously, I was playing on control pad and mouse and keyboard, it felt so weird to go from, a mouse and keyboard just to move my little guy around to then having my control pad in my hand and still having mouse and keyboard inputs appearing on screen and all that. It was just so disconnected.
Yeah.
It just didn't work for me. But no, the console port's all right. I mean, it's perfectly playable. It's serviceable. I've put in probably about 10 hours into MechWarrior. I've put quite a bit of time into it. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's decent.
Yeah,
I was actually halfway tempted to actually check to see how long I'd played it.
I was going to say, well, because we're going to be doing our 24 hours in about a month. It's about 4 weeks' time.
Yeah,
something like that. So I'll be bringing my PCO and I'll be bringing my HOTAS over. Whether it were firing up and you having a go of the HOTAS,
that'd be a laugh. Do you really want to? Do you really want to trust me with your Centurion?
Well, yeah, why not? I can always save again.
I will say though, because you had trouble with the spider, or it was the spider, wasn't it? The little tiny mech that runs around pretty quick and has jump.
Yeah, I couldn't turn quick enough.
So the trick with that was, I mean, you will take damage really, really fast in MechWarrior 5. Like even a small suit. You can and in previous MechWarrior games, tanks and stuff and helicopters were basically an annoyance. Yeah.
To you, they don't really do a lot of damage. Not so much in MechWarrior 5. They do quite a bit of damage.
Yeah. If you try and avoid taking out even like tanks, turrets, and stuff, you will get fucked up like really quickly. I was playing one of the defense missions.
Yeah.
And I told one of my team to just like, hey, just defend this position, but if anything comes in this area, go and stuff them up. Got wiped out by like a tank. And there's a mission right at the start, but they're like, hey, go and save this guy. He's in a suit, he's about to get wrecked, but go and save this guy. And I could not move any faster. I went in a straight line towards the guy and watched like this big, it must have been Centurion sized or a bit smaller. He just got wiped the fuck out by a tank. I was like, it's mental.
Yeah, the tanks, because they're so small as well, and the other issue you have actually is weapon ranges.
Oh yeah,
some of your weapons are actually really short range. Look like your lasers, which is weird for lasers because they move at the speed of light. How short range they are, and it's like there's a helicopter there. I can see it. I'm aiming at it, but I'm not in range of anything. I literally can't hit the darn thing.
See, I didn't have too much of a problem with it. Once I learnt how the weapon system worked in 5, I didn't have too much of a problem. It's very rare.
Your default loadout of the Centurion, you've got your lasers, you've got your missiles, you've got your autocannon. The autocannon's got the range you need, and your missiles have as well. I find missiles tend to miss aerial targets. They tend to sort of like miss him most of the time.
Are you making sure you're doing weapon lock though?
Of course, yeah.
Sure.
I
also find they don't do a lot to tanks either. Like you have to really hit him with a good spray to hit a tank, to actually take out a tank.
Again, tanks are quite tough. In previous MechWarrior games, they're made of paper. You hit them with a laser, they were gone.
Yeah.
They were just so easy. Whereas this one, at least the laser you get in your default mech will if you're lucky you can take them out one hit, but most
you still can. You can. Just you
Yeah, so
I will say if you think you're going to hit it in MechWarrior 5, like if you I hit that dead on. No, you didn't. Not by a fucking mile, because it took me a little while to get used to how these weapons fired, because I was hitting what I thought was I thought I was bang on the money, and I weren't. I was always off just by a little bit, so I'd kind of graze the tank with my laser.
Yeah.
But once I got into the groove of roughly where I had to be, it was actually all right. Same with my cannon, my auto cannon. I can generally take most things out one shot from quite a distance now.
Yeah, you have to lead a little bit on the autocannon.
So
I will say the autocannon, the speed of those projectiles is very slow compared to what autocannon should be firing at.
Sure. That and the rockets, I find they're just good to, you see it. Like, I don't even waste my time using them on tanks unless my suit's about to hit the floor. But if I see a mech in the distance, because that's my longest range weapon, because I haven't changed any of the weapons on my Centurion yet, I just lock on and go right there. I'm just going to pepper the bastard from however long until it takes me to get in range with my auto cannon, and then I'll just fire like a madman at it. And hope that by the time I get to it, I've done a decent amount of damage to be able to slow it down. Because for quite some time, most of the suits that you'll be fighting against are considerably faster than the Centurion.
Yeah.
By quite a margin as well. So you will take damage pretty hardcore quite often.
Yeah.
But I would recommend you take another crack at it, Ram, because
now they fixed the console controls, perhaps they fixed the other issues I had, and I get it functioning right.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Awesome.
That's it.
All right, fair enough.
I recommend it. I'd say give it another go. I've been quite enjoying it. I did complain about it a lot on stream about how jank and how wobbly it was at times, but I mean, realistically, it's perfectly playable.
Yeah.
So
that's all you want. I mean, you're not this. This isn't at the end of the day, the company who makes it says that they're not a massive studio.
No,
they're not a massive team who's making this. So a little bit of jank's fine. I don't mind a bit. I don't mind. I can live with a bit of jank.
I mean, I've spent hours in it.
Yeah,
I've spent hours, and in fact, I'll tell you what. Just as a show of just give me 1 second. This will probably actually bleed into the audio. Yeah, it will actually. So if you just heard a bloop a minute ago, that was my Xbox cutting through onto the stream audio. So because I am still hooked up to my Xbox right now. Give me 1 second, and I will tell you how long I have been playing MechWarrior for. Let's have a look. MechWarrior. Can I see how long I've been playing it for? Because just for the sheer lols of it, just to say, it's not terrible. Here we go. Why can I not find the? Oh, where is it? There we go. MechWarrior 5. I've only got 2 achievements. How sad is that? Right, statistics. I have been playing for 10 hours, 5 minutes on console.
You said about 10 hours.
And I probably put in a couple of hours on PC as well.
I'll probably put about a couple of hours total. And probably about an hour of that was trying to get the joystick to work.
For sure. Yeah, totally. It's worth giving a go. and I've just gone and
Oh,
loaded up another game. Good job, Skazz. Yeah.
oh, good. So, are we going to get a nice game intro getting started to bounce through the audio in a second?
Yes, and it's going to be great.
Good. Awesome.
So what have you been up to, Ram?
Well, I have been making use of my Xbox Game Pass. I have been playing a stealth game,
Right.
slash
With your
puzzle game.
HOTAS.
Not with the HOTAS. No, this one's been just with normal mouse and keyboard. I've been playing Hello Neighbor.
All right.
So do you remember do you remember the game I talked about, a game called Granny a
Yes.
few months ago? Where you're trapped in a house with this demented old woman, and your goal isn't to like sort of appease her and look after her, help her go to the toilet and make sure she has a breakfast. Your goal is to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And so forth. Well, Hello Neighbor is like Granny, but with slightly higher production values. Slightly higher production values.
Slightly.
Yeah, it looks. Whereas Granny looked very early PS2 level, Hello Neighbor looks all like PS3, early PS4 level.
All right.
To give sort of an idea. So Hello Neighbor is you are a little kid. You start off as a little kid, and you basically are playing in your little neighborhood, and you hear some screaming coming from your neighbor's house, and you go and look through the window, and you see him sort of locking up his basement. He's like been seen dragging something. He's locking up his basement, sort of barreling, locking it all shut and padlocking and sort of securing it. And he sees you and screams at you, sort of kicks you off his property. And so you basically have to find out what he's doing in his basement. So you have to break into his house, and while he's there, and avoid him. So it's a stealth game. So he's basically sort of randomly moving around the house.
Right.
And you've got to sort of and he goes outside. He does little activities, like just a bit of like sort of fitness outside, like sort of do some stretches and what have you. Or you'll go watch TV and all sorts. And you basically got to sort of like work around him and hide from him.
Mm-hmm.
So the house itself starts off quite interesting. It's split into 4 acts. The first 3 of which the house changes between each act. So the initial starting house is really small. It's probably got like 3 downstairs rooms and a couple of upstairs rooms. It's quite a small property in the garden, so you're sort of on your toes. And this is where the puzzle aspect, because it's not a case of okay, get into the basement. There's a certain degree of you have to do. Obviously, you can't just go find the key and get in. You have to go through lots of different steps to get to the key, including using physics, which we'll get into in a second. But it's very much. Now, this is a puzzle genre I'm not very good at. I'm quite good at logical puzzles. Puzzles that sort of like have a certain degree of sense and logic to them. I can sort of work those ones out. When the puzzles are along the lines of, okay, you need to pick the rose, which you'll then burn in the fire to then create rose ash, which you'll then feed to a dog, which will then defecate, which will then use on the plant, which will then capture a fly, which will then lose its wing, which will then use on the painting, which will then drop off the wall, which will then reveal a nail, which you can pick up and then use that to pick the lock.
So what you're saying is you don't like point and click style puzzles.
No, I don't. My brain doesn't work very well with those, and the whole game is basically that. It's the part. I mean, I sort of struggled through Act 1, and by the time I got to Act 2, I had to get an epic walk through it because I just couldn't get my hand around it. I do not know how these people figured this out. They must have just tried everything, because it's like, okay, do these switches, then go do this. Now go back to that switch you did it first again. Switch that again. Now go turn these 3 valves here. Now go back and do that switch again. Now I need to go upstairs. Now you need to do this. Now you need to do that. Now you need to do this. It's like, how do you guys? You guys spend hours just wandering around, just trying everything and hoping it worked. It's like, so I'm not a fan of that sort of puzzle. Also, this is the bad parts of it. Is the controls are pretty shit. It's got, that what I call, it's got that floaty physics control. You know when you like go to jump up something, but you sort of float to the side as you're sort of trying to jump in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you sort of so you're sort of trying to climb through a window. If you might think you're aiming right, but if you're slightly angled off, you'll sort of float to the side rather than going through it. It's a little, and literally like the first thing you need to do, the very first thing you need to do, you need to go upstairs the house, and outside his house there's like a shelf unit. So a shelf unit lean up against the side of a porch, and you go upstairs. So what you do is you get 2 boxes, climb up the shelf unit, balance the boxes on top of the shelf unit, then jump on the boxes, then jump onto the roof. Right, that's fine, but it's got a very janky physics system where if you don't put the boxes in just the right place, they will fall off, and then you have to go pick them up again. And at any point, the neighbour's going to wander around the corner and go, "There you are," and start chasing you. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake! And I knew what I had to do. Like within the first 4 or 5 minutes, I knew what I had to do. But I probably spent 45 minutes trying to do the blasted thing because I just couldn't do the physics.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have noticed you're not really all that into games that are execution heavy.
Yes. Yeah, well, I was a lot of high precision, where you have to just get things just right and so forth. I don't like that style of game because I'm not very good at it. I'm not got that. I haven't got that skill. I'm never going to be a speedrunner. I can't do that sort of thing. So that was really the games where I could be slightly passive, or games where they have fairly strict rules how they work, I can handle. But those sort of games like this, where the floaty physics, it was just a nightmare. And most of my frustrations with it were the control system. We're trying to just make the control system work. I looked online, and a lot of people complain about the controls. They're just very unrobust. But there's another bit later on, because the house gets crazy. So between Act 2, the house gets like an extra story on it. And Act 3, the house is like 6 floors high. And it's got like a roller coaster going round and all sorts.
And it does.
Yeah. And getting to the roller coaster, it's got a bad vehicle physics where you're in the roller coaster, it's moving round. Your camera's just constantly bouncing because the game can't work out where you should be.
Okay.
And I was trying to control it, and it was just a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. So I eventually found the control lever because this game gives you no real guidance of how to do anything. It doesn't. There's no objective. Objectives are sort of implied what you need to do, but there's no guidance on how to. There's no sort of guidance at all. There's no there's no guidance to show this is how you interact with something. So anything else you've done in the game has been a case of he interacts, it does something. Mouse button places, it interacts. Fine. You get it. There's this control, and you hit it, nothing happens. And it's because you have to now hold the interact button down, then use your W and S keys to switch the control from up or down, like forward, back, stop.
Oh, interesting.
But nothing else in the game works like that. So
I was going to say they've just randomly changed the rules.
Yeah, yes. Your control scheme has changed, and you weren't prepared for it. So it took me bloody ages. The only reason I worked out what to do is I was like, this is bugged. I can't change this. This is bugged. I don't see why this doesn't work. So I ended up going online, looking, and I eventually found someone mentioned in a forum on the pit when they were playing online. It must have been on, I presume it was on PlayStation, because they mentioned the R buttons. But they might be, I suppose it could be Xbox. They mentioned L3 and stuff, which I think is more of a PlayStation term. And they said, "Oh, I figured out. I have to hold the interactor, then use the left stick to scroll up and down to make it work." I thought, I wonder, and yes, I did it. But so I got on it. First of all, I managed to get, because what had happened was I got it. Somehow I got it going backwards, and it's racing around the track backwards. I couldn't figure out how to get it. At some point as well, the game thought I was underwater, and I got the water effect over my screen, and it wouldn't go away.
Interesting.
The train doesn't go underwater anywhere. So I don't know what triggered that. I don't know. When I finally got back into the train, I managed to push it forward, and at that point, it completely bugged out, and it threw me and teleported me to a different room. It wasn't meant to do that because the train was still running, and I was stuck in this room. But it's like it couldn't work out where I was meant to be. It's just that bit hasn't been designed right. It's been thrown in there, and they've not worked out how to make it work.
Right.
And so I was just teleported out, and I looked online again. People saying, "Oh yeah, be aware. Make sure you have this thing equipped because often when you do this bit, you'll be thrown out of the train and you'll be falling to your death. So make sure you got the umbrella equipped to float down with it."
Wow.
So this is a known bug. And so, but the trouble is that train is pretty vital to gain to the next part of the game. You need that control because you need to be able to stop it in order to get somewhere else. So if it throws you out and it's running around the track, you're a bit buggered. Now, I was able to eventually get back in the train because I found out where I could start and stop it.
Okay.
I found the start and stop controls. But here's the other crazy thing. When the train is stopped, you can't access the front of the carriage to switch it on or off. So I couldn't... So I could stop it like in the station, but I couldn't then go on and switch it off to get back and start up again to go back in it to make it move.
Right.
Because that bit was locked off. So then what I had to do was leave it running and time it, and as it came past, I jumped into it. At which point I managed to stop it, and then I fell to my death. Then I teleported outside and fell to my death.
Game sounds terrible.
It is. At which point the train is now stuck on the tracks, but because the door's on the side, I can't get into it again. So at that point, I was like, I'm actually screwed. I am actually screwed because I need to be able to park because because to its credit, they have made it so that most acts have got different ways to complete them. There are different ways you can complete the acts to get to. There's several routes to the end. They are slightly differently, so you can experiment and find your own way through, which is nice. It's not a fixed. Okay, this is how you're going to do it. But what I need to do to get beyond this point, from what I looked around trying to find out how to get around it, was there was no alternative. You had to do it this way. So I was at this point, I was like, well, I'm fucked. So in the end, I found there's console commands, one of which is fly. I thought that would solve the problem. They don't seem to work anymore. They seem to have shut those down. They weren't. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I thought that would have solved. If I could have flown, I could have fixed the problem and got past this point. So at that point, I was like, oh, fuck this. You can start the whole act again, but you can't jump. There's no sort of checkpointing system. So you can't go back to previous time when it was working. That's basically that run through fucked. So at that point, I saw oh, right, fuck this. So I went and I wanted to see what the ending was going to be like. So I just watched the ending on YouTube. And it only makes no sense either way. So I was really... I think I was quite... What I went into expecting was a game that was... Because the neighbour's quite smart. The neighbour is smart in that he's an AI that learns by what you do. And I say learning, but it's obviously a lot of if-then statements. So if you constantly break in through a certain window, he'll start leaving traps around it. And if he works out routes you go through frequently, he'll start leaving traps, like bear traps to the routes. He'll start putting CCTV cameras up around places. Although he's a bit stupid because I'll find he'll put 2 or 3 up in the same place, pointing in the same direction at the same thing. And you can just rip those off the wall anyway, so it's not the end of the world. But they'll basically alert them that you're there. Traps obviously hold you still. He'll even board up doors.
Okay.
Apparently there was a bug in one of the early alpha versions where he would basically you could end up being in a situation where everything would be boarded up and the house would be locked and there's only one route out and he'd just sit there waiting for you to leave. So that's either brilliant on the AI's part, but I imagine it basically makes the game unwinnable.
Yeah.
So
the AI had you sussed, mate.
Yeah, brilliant, but unwinnable. So you have to tweak it. I mean, he'll do things like when he sees you, he'll throw balls of glue to slow you down on the ground. They'll explode on the ground, you can run into it, and they'll slow you down, so he can catch up with you. And when you get caught, all basically happens is you get just teleported right to the start where you were. So let's see if you're your house, or it's like at sort of the every sort of level has a starting point, and you'll get teleported back there. Quite amusingly, he's got a perimeter around his house that he'll be active in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you leave that perimeter, he won't come after you. And it's basically like his sort of front yard, like up to sort of the road edge. So you can walk up to him, he'll see, and you can just run into the road. He'll just stop and just sort of stare at you, cross his arms, and just stare at you, and then wander off. And that's just quite. Once I worked that out, that was really amusing because I just kept. Well, anytime he saw wandered off, I'd walk back in to throw something through one of his windows and just back off again.
Yeah.
And he's come up, me very annoyed, just stare at me as I just backed off. That was quite fun. That was just that kept me going for a good 5 minutes.
I was going to say, because he realizes that if he followed you into the street and backhanded you, that'd be a lawsuit.
Yeah. Well, he does some quite nasty things. You can also throw things at him so you're meant to be able to stun him by you basically like press the right mouse button to sort of power up a throw and then throw it at him and it'll stun him or knock him over.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a good couple of seconds. He's bloody fast. Unless you're already a long way away, he's going to catch up with you. When he's been chasing me, I've never successfully stunned him. He's always been too close.
Right.
I've just evaded him. And it's easier to evade him because there are clearly areas where he won't go. So I mentioned the roller coaster. The bit where the roller coaster is, the way you get to it, he won't go. Even though he has to, because it's up a ladder, but he will go up ladders. He knows to go up ladders, but he won't go up that ladder. So as long as she's chasing you, as long as you won't run up there, he won't come after you. And I suspect because it's probably a very complicated sort of like, because of the sort of janky movement and sort of you need to be a bit careful what you're doing. They probably shut that bit off so he wouldn't go there just to ease off the stress of you.
Sure.
So I just suppose I wanted a game which was about just sort of general stealth, outsmart. I like the idea, the premise of okay, you change your stealth is he work out how you do things and so forth, and he'll change. I like that idea, but I didn't like the wackiness of it. The way it goes very, very wacky very early on. I didn't really like that. The sort of puzzle side of it and so forth, doesn't quite grip me. So it feels like a game that's like, okay, you've got a bare base of a game here that does sort of what you need to do, but you need to look at it and go, okay, we need to change this, we need to tweak it. It felt like I could do it more development. Despite if I went through early access, it felt like it still feels like it needs more development done on it to finish it. I mean, it is finished now because they've started making its sequel.
I was going to say, because I'm pretty sure that's on like Nintendo Switch and stuff as well. So
yeah. Oh, it's hilarious, guys. Because I was on the bit where I was looking at the console commands. People kept saying, "How do you activate the console on the Nintendo Switch?" It's like, oh, blessed child, bless. As far as I'm aware, it's impossible to activate console commands on the Nintendo Switch.
I just want to throw out there, I mean, just shows how shitty a game is that you need to use console commands full stop. Really.
It's for that one puzzle which was the train, which is bugged to hell. It's glitchy as hell.
But again, my point being that if you need to operate the console for any reason other than admin...
Well, exactly. I refuse to believe that got through testing and they realised it worked. They got through... They must have realised how bugged... Because that is glitchy as fuck. They must have realised how glitchy that was. And they decided just to sort of like, it'll be fine. They'll figure out. I said, if you could at least go back to a checkpoint... But the fact is, your only option is to redo the entire act. And it's not like... you can go straight there. There's several steps you have to do to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I can't be asked to do them. I just can't be asked. If you've got to make it that much of a pain, it's just saying, one thing I did get the experience of joy of, and something that I've seen in the past, this is completely unrelated to Hello Neighbor, but it is related because I was sort of Googling stuff about it. Have you ever come across, and this is sort of like a tangent, I am sorry. Have you ever come across a website called some Common Sense Media Reviews? I think it's called.
No.
Right. It's hilarious. This is a website which is meant to be for parents to review like TV series and games and so forth, and they can say what age rating they think the game should have for children.
Yeah, I have then. Yeah.
It's hilarious going through those because some of the people it's like, what some of the things people write is like you're really gonna be a helicopter parent. So I came across this one and I said, not suitable for children, suitable for children like sort of 15 plus. This game encourages housebreaking and hurting people. I was like, yeah, that's hilarious. That is like someone's like, really? Okay then. Oh, this game is terrifying. My daughter was scared. She was 2 years old and was scared. It's like, well, yes. That is hilarious. Like, put any game in it. It's, I went for such moments games. It's absolutely hilarious the views that people come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Not, yeah. So if you put something that's 18 rated in, what age rating? Oh, I wouldn't let my 5-year-old watch this. No shit, it's an 18 rated film. No shit.
Yeah, but then I've had the same discussion with one of my neighbours, and they asked, what's the best way to stop my child from playing Grand Theft Auto 5? And it's like, don't buy them Grand Theft Auto 5. Well, what's the best console to not get Grand Theft Auto 5? And I was like, well, a Nintendo Switch. Well, can't I get can I just get them an Xbox? It's like, but that's going to have the game on it that you don't want them to have. But you've already bought them the game, so.
Oh yeah, I'm confused by this because they do realise that. How do they fit the children got hold of the game?
Well, that was exactly it. It's like, they don't have access to the online store, or, you've just made them an Xbox account and you've just given them a credit card, but like, or something like that. But like, I was like, you're the one that decided that they could have this game, and now you can't handle the negative effect it's had on your child. Like, your child's like, what, 6? And now he's going around calling his father a cunt and a drug dealer, and he's parroting literally no end of phrases from this game because he doesn't understand what any of this stuff actually means. And now you're pissed off. It's like, why do you just look at the box, go, Grand Theft Auto, probably not child friendly. I'm not buying that for him.
The clues in the title, and they all have age ratings on them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, I will put links to this because it's hilarious. Anything you like, anything that's potentially, also, the best ones are like the PG rated stuff that's like fairly mine, because there'll be somebody who'll find something objectionable in it and will give it like a massive downgrade. It's hilariously fun. I feel sorry for these children. I do feel sorry for the children who got these parents, because it's like, I'm not letting my child use this game. It teaches him bad things and so forth. It's like, it's Barbie's horse adventure.
It teaches him how to be a blonde bimbo and demand a horse.
Yes. I let my little child play Barbie's horse adventure. It's totally unrealistic. The horse fell over and she didn't have to shoot it. It's not right. It's rah, 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 rah. It's going to give a wrong idea about animal euthanasia. That's basically how it goes down.
See, I can't go to sites like that.
I personally just find them hilarious.
I can't because I hate people already, and the more I see stupid comments, I just like, why did you even breed? Like, really? you've I'm sorry, just go into a forest and just do yourself in, reduce your carbon footprint so that we can all get on with our lives, please. Like, if you can't engage your own brain before letting a child have access to some of this stuff, you're a fucking moron, and you shouldn't have had kids to start with.
Mm.
You just, no. Yeah. What the fuck did you think was going to be in the fucking game? Like, really?
Yeah.
You're actually telling me that I just can't believe there are parents out there who don't check out shit for their children before they let them have it. Like, really? And then they're like, oh, well, it's the game company's fault. It's like, you bought it.
Yeah.
You fucking bought it. Like, my kids have got loads of stuff. Loads of stuff they probably shouldn't have. But it's like, I believe they're mature enough to be able to handle the content of the game.
It's maturity is different to your age. You can be very mature for your age.
Yeah.
And be able to understand that this isn't real. Because, I'm trying to think how old I was when I first played Grand Theft Auto. I was actually quite older than I could have been, but because I didn't have a console, with a PS2, and that was the first. And I definitely at that point I didn't have a game PC either, so that was sort of like the first shot I ever had to experience it.
Sure.
So I'd have been 14, but I was probably it wasn't even when I was playing at 14. I was way more than mature enough to understand this is not real. And
let me think. When did Grand Theft Auto 1 come out?
Well, that was not mid-90s, wasn't it? Early 90s?
Well, I was playing it on a Pentium 1. So probably around 97, 98. So that made me like, what, 13?
97.
Yeah, there you go. I was nowhere near 18.
Yeah, of course, but you would have been fine. So it would have been maturity is different to age. Is not a good. Your age is not a good method of determining maturity.
No, of course
in
not, because I know
reality.
some 30-year-olds that are dumber than a post.
Yeah.
You know, I know some 30-year-olds that just don't understand that certain things are wrong. Well, why am I getting in trouble? So, because you're a twat. But they don't understand that.
No.
You know, they have
Some
to be
people
beaten over the head with a maturity stick. But
yeah,
I don't know. Just again, the idea that look, if you fucked up, take responsibility. You know, if you've gone out and you've bought something dodge for your kid, and and you didn't vet it, it's not the games company's fault. It's not the consoles manufacturer's fault. It's yours. You know, if your kid said, "Can I have, I don't know, insert random hyper-violent game, like, hey, can I have Postal or Hatred?" Right, and you said, "Yeah," without actually checking it, that's on you.
Yeah.
So, but don't go spattering shit online that these games have fucking objectionable content in them. Fuck you. Just because your little fucking angel's too much for a pussy to handle fucking a few video games and you're too shit of a parent. What the fuck is that? Going online going, I'm such a good parent, I'm going to tell you not to do this.
I'd imagine that the child probably isn't a pussy about to handle it. The child's probably absolutely fine with it. It's the parent who thinks the child isn't fine with it.
It's the parent that isn't fine. It's the parent. It's not the parent thinks the child can't handle it. It's the parent that can't handle that shit.
Yeah.
The parent doesn't want to deal with what may come of it.
Yeah. I was trying to look back, sort of, probably the first sort of violent game I played, because I was quite late to gaming. We discussed before. I was quite late to gaming. Before we had an Amiga, we had a Sega, but most of the games on that we were quite young, so we had fairly family-friendly games. I think we had like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which was probably the most violent game we had. But the first sort of like game where actually which was all more serious, was probably the original Rainbow Six. I'm thinking about it.
Fair enough.
And I remember playing that. I've been 12 years, and I didn't play it right when it came out. I was fairly close when it came out when I played that. So I've been probably 12, 13 years old at the time, and yeah, it was fine. I've not gone on to become a mass murderer.
No.
So I did remember the very first time I was in a training mission, I just turned around and shot one of my own guys in the head, and I felt incredibly guilty afterwards, and I'd switched the game off.
There you go.
I felt like, oh, I've just shot my own guys.
And then a little bit later on, Ram breaks into people's houses and starts throwing shit at them. So you've gone completely off the deep end, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So violent video games don't make people violent. It's only if you put in the hands of a child.
Yeah.
So
cool. That's it.
Yeah. So watch your children. Just be sensible what you're putting in your kids. Don't
just pay attention. Look, can I just throw out there as well? To another group, if you're that raggy about letting your kids play certain games and yet you have no problem with them watching, say, Rick and Morty, you've got a serious fucking problem.
Hey, but Skazz, Rick and Morty's an animation. It must be for kids.
Yeah, don't get me started. I've had this rant with many a parent. It's like, will you lot just piss off?
Yeah.
Stop ruining existence for the rest of us, you pieces of shit. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. Alright, well that's that. So that's pretty much it for games for me, Skazz. But yeah, Hello Neighbor, I couldn't recommend it. Anyway, shit, it's just too klein, it's too junky.
I was going to say, I wouldn't have played it anyway, because it looked like shit just looking at the trailers and that.
Yeah. I like the idea, but it just plays bad. Plays very bad.
It's an indie, isn't it? It's not even a...
Yeah, it's a little indie game, yeah. still no excuse, because if you can't get your train physics to work in a pro, just don't put it in. Just take it out.
True.
Just admit murder your darlings. If you can't get it to work, don't try and leave something half janky in there. Partly janky is acceptable, but completely janky, you just delete it.
No offense. You did get wrecked by a spider in MechWarrior, so
yeah, that's more.
Who's to say that all these issues aren't you, not the game?
Hey, that is an input issue. We established that,
but you never know. You're having trouble hitting tanks.
Sure. No, I'm sure hitting tanks. I am hitting the tanks.
Yeah, but you're not destroying them.
I'm destroying them.
Yeah, after a while. You said yourself, you're hitting them with the lasers. The lasers ain't destroying the tanks. I'm hitting the tanks with the same lasers.
I'm sure the tanks with lasers, but it's only takes 2 shots.
No, it doesn't.
I'll put it down to my joystick.
Hit settings. The target.
I'm hitting the target. They take damage. I see him take damage. Anyway. No, it's just jank. Honestly, it is. If you look,
mate, I'd never play it.
Honestly, hell, jank. There's so many people complaining about the fact that you just suddenly you're in a train, you hear a button, it's all of a sudden you're teleported outside of it, and you're flying down towards the ground.
There you go. That's some PlayStation physics.
It's just basically that the game can't work. They've not locked the player to the train, and the game can't figure out. They're relying on collision detection to make sure you stay in the train, rather than actually tying you to the train so that you move around it with it, so it knows where you are. Which is what I suspect Sea of Thieves does. When you're on the boats, it knows, it ties you to the boat, so it knows where you are, races out to make sure you don't go, because you don't see any issues. Because often when you're on something moving, a platform or something, you often see it in games where it's moving horizontal, you'll tend to judder.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because if you rely on collision detection or for friction, the game it can get confused trying to work out where you are in relation to it and lose its track.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I suspect what Sea of Thieves does, because that's a good potentially big issue. I suspect it actually ties you to the boat, so when you're on the boat, it knows and moves you in relation to the boat. It's what I'm guessing it does when you're on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you're now part of the boat system now, so you move in relation to the boat, so therefore you'll always stay in the right place. That's what I think it does. That's a per guess, of course, but this is what they do. They rely on collision detection. If you get it just wrong, the gliders will just suddenly slip through each other and you'll go flying off into the distance. Physics.
Broken.
So, they are broken, but just like reality.
Yep.
So, well, anyway, so that's everything from me.
Yeah, me too. I got nothing.
Yeah. So, as I said, the last thing to mention is we'll be doing our 24-hour podcast, as we mentioned earlier, on the 3rd of July, which is not next podcast week, but the podcast weekend after.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we'll have many experiences to try out.
Hopefully I'll have a functioning computer by then.
Hopefully so. You better, because you're going to be streaming it. So,
well, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll set you up on Hello Neighbor.
No fucking chance, mate. Seriously, you launched that game on the 24 hours, you're carrying it yourself. I'm fucking done, son. I've already got one fucking 24-hour podcast in the bank.
Well, that's true, yeah.
I can take that one out.
So I have done some test flights around Zaber's airport.
You found you can't pick him up yet?
Yeah, around Bell End Airport. So nice. I managed to. It took me a couple it took me a while to work out that in Microsoft Flight Simulator, the location in which you're told the sort of marker for the airport isn't necessarily where the runway is. It's just this is where the airport is. The runway is actually over there somewhere. And so I was like, where is this runway? It's like, oh, it's over there. A320. Bank fast to the left, bank fast to the right. There we go. We're going a bit too fast, going 240 knots. It's a little bit too fast, but oh well. The little countdown reader was meant to go 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Thanks for reminding me. I want to check to see if the old
Yeah.
HOTASs that I were looking at were
Yeah.
back in stock.
It goes 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Oh, I'm on the ground.
And now you're dead.
Break. I didn't run off the runway, though. So that's a good start. But yeah, it's an hour and 15-minute flight to Zabers.
The more you know. Let's see. Only 8 left in stock. £245.71.
Which hotel is she looking at?
The X56.
Oh, the X56. Yeah, I looked at that one.
Yeah. No, I'll pass.
Get the Warthog, mate.
No.
Right, well, in that case, that's everyone's mentioned. So I will look for, but we'll have our next podcast in a fortnight's time on the 19th of June at 12:30. And you can also join us for our game nights on Tuesdays at approximately 8:30 GMT +1 on twitch.tv/Suffolk Ram.
And twitch.tv/Skazz, SK4ZZI0US.
And we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks' time.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.